President Biden speaking to reporters on Air Force One.
Get it to Gaza and do it quickly.
On his way back from Israel. And a bookstore selling banned books.
They came in and bought a book for themselves and bought a book for Florida.
More from our D.C. bureau. Police in Florida on the search.
We're very serious about catching him.
For an escaped inmate. And veterans reunite.
You know me.
After 70 years since they've been deployed. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Parsa Sajadi.
And I'm Sofia Bolivar. Today is Thursday, October 19, 2023.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
President Biden is back from Israel after making a push to help civilians regardless of which side of the fence they live on. While Joe Biden has returned from his visit to Israel, the chaos in Gaza still continues. Since the start of the war, according to Palestinian officials, around 3,000 people have been killed in Gaza. As CNN John's Loring reports, the situation is spiraling out of control.
As pro-Israeli and pro-Palestinian rallies are held separately in the U.S., Gaza is about to get some much-needed assistance.
Well, I got no pushback, virtually none. Let me say it again. I got no pushback.
From the Israelis or from all the partners here?
All the partners.
The Biden White House has earmarked $100 million worth of support for Gaza and the West Bank.
I was very blunt about the need to support getting humanitarian aid to Gaza. Get it to Gaza and do it quickly.
The funds will be used to support the more than 1 million people who've been displaced since the start of the war between Israel and Hamas.
Material has to get in to Gaza, medicine and food and fuel. Fuel, by the way, is not just for the civilian population. It powers things like desalination plants that help provide water.
Israel says it will eradicate Hamas after the militant group's attack on an Israeli music festival earlier this month that killed 1,400 people, while Palestinian officials are blaming Israel for Tuesday's deadly blast on a hospital in Gaza.
I went into the building and suddenly heard strikes. Many of my friends were killed.
A spokesperson for the Israel Defense Forces and U.S. government officials both believe Palestinian Islamic Jihad is to blame for the hospital attack, which the group denies. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Another plane load of people who were stuck in Israel are in Florida this morning. The second plane load of Americans arrived yesterday morning in Tampa, where Governor Ron DeSantis and his wife Casey greeted passengers. The state of Florida partnered with the nonprofit group Project Dynamo to evacuate the Americans. There are more flights expected to arrive in Tampa later this week.
A protest near the U.S. Capitol ended in chaos at Capitol Hill. Caplin News' Paloma Pimentel is in Washington, D.C. to show us how the events unfolded.
The group gathered at the Capitol complex demanding a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war and also criticized U.S. military support for Israel.
The organization Jewish Voice for Peace called for a rally on social media protesting what they call the murder of more Palestinians. Thousands of demonstrators first gathered outside of the Capitol building chanting ceasefire and free Palestine. Multiple organization group leaders voiced their opposition to military funding for Israel, including Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who expressed her disappointment with the current administration's handling of the conflict.
It is pure, literally inhumane for my colleagues to allow that to continue and say nothing.
Protesters condemned the deaths of innocent people on both sides.
We are here, thousands and thousands of Jews and people of conscience, because we are grieving both Palestinian and Israeli loved ones, and understand that there is no contradiction in that grief. In fact, there's no other way.
After the speeches concluded, the group marched around Capitol Hill. Then they made their way inside the Cannon House building, where tensions heightened and several demonstrators were arrested.
Early reports say that Capitol Police arrested roughly 300 demonstrators at the Cannon House across from the Capitol building for entering the Capitol and continuing rallies even after police directed them to stop. I am Paloma Pimentel in D.C. reporting for Caplin News.
Outrage this morning from the mother of a man who was shot and killed by deputies 3 years after being released from prison for a crime he did not commit. Late yesterday, the sheriff's office in Camden County, Georgia, near Savannah, released body cam footage. It shows officers interacting with 53-year-old Leonard Cure in the minutes before his death on Monday. Before the fatal shot was fired, deputies used a taser and baton on Cure.
Don't think you can come to my side and persecute me, because I'm not having it.
Amen.
And for my son, I will get justice.
Here in Broward County, Cure spent more than 16 years behind bars for an armed robbery he didn't commit. With help from Florida's Innocence Project, Cure was exonerated and released in 2020.
This morning, police in Florida searched for an escaped inmate. 37-year-old inmate Robert Rutherford rocked away while on work detail near Tallahassee. Authorities are also asking neighbors to check their cameras for possible sighting of Rutherford.
We're very serious about catching him, and we're not going to sugarcoat it and act like he's, some super duper guy. He's escaped, bottom line, and he's committed violent felonies, and he's committed a lot of felonies. It takes a lot to get 20 years in prison. Trust me. We don't want this in our community.
Police believe Rutherford is armed and dangerous. Police believe Rutherford is armed and dangerous.
Florida's book ban is making waves from the south to the east coast, and the Bureau's Hawa Ezel has more on how one state is fighting back.
Last year, Florida pulled about 1,400 books from the shelves of public schools, and a bookstore all the way in Tacoma, Maryland, had something to say about it.
Since Florida passed the Parental Rights in Education Act, also known as the Don't Say Gay bill, states across the country have followed suit, banning books from classrooms. The bans often target books that contain themes on race, sexuality, and intersectionality. People's Book, in the Washington suburb of Tacoma Park, Maryland, decided to take it a step further. During Banned Books Week, October 1st through 7th, they partnered with a mobile bookstore in Sarasota, Florida, Shelf Indulgence, to provide banned books by letting customers purchase copies of banned titles to then ship to the Sunshine State.
So when people came in, we were telling them about what's going on. People in Tacoma Park know what's going on in the country, but they bought extra books. They came in and bought a book for themselves and bought a book for Florida, dropped it in a box. So we were able to donate some of our own, and then mostly it came from the community.
Megan Bormid co-founded People's Book with her husband 4 months ago, with hopes to provide the community with an easily accessible bookstore that has something for everyone. As a former elementary school teacher and reading coach, Megan has a passion for providing a pathway to literacy.
I just feel so strongly that when you are learning how to read, when you are in primary school, you are developing your identity. And so to be able to see yourself reflected in books, be able to step into other people's shoes that you might not experience is so important when you're developing that reading identity. The fact that some children are not going to have that experience is really devastating.
People's Book Shift Manager Jacob Isaacs stresses the importance of local bookstores when legislation hinders reading choices.
When you hear about not just school districts or libraries banning books, but also booksellers like Scholastic no longer carrying banned titles in their book fairs, or in communities where those books are already banned in places like Florida, you really realize how much of a difference it does make to actually be able to provide those books that people want to read. We're providing, ideas and information and stories that people already care about.
Elders say talks are in the works for providing prohibited books across state lines year-round. If you'd like to support People's Book, you can find their catalog on bookshop.org. Reporting for Caplin News, Washington, D.C. Bureau, I'm Hawa Ezel.
Inter Miami's Messy experience is about to hit the road.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know. That's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Bill is a family man. He invests his money wisely and provides a good life for his children. Just one problem. He often opens emails from senders he doesn't know, and his computer is not password protected. One day, Bill checked his bank account and 94% of malware attacks originate from emails. Don't be like Bill. Take your cybersecurity seriously.
After decades apart, a couple of Marines who shared a battlefield are now sharing a reunion. While war never changes, it can form a brotherhood that lasts for the rest of your life.
This is true for two Korean War veterans that reunited after 70 years. It happened near Greensville, South Carolina, Tuesday. Both Lee Brulette and Harry Hope served in the Korean War and are the only two Marines left from their platoon that are alive. Lee even gave some insight into some experiences during that time.
I was for 1 year. I saw a lot of action. I was there.
When the Korean War broke out, Lee was serving in Europe. Both of the veterans met during the Battle of Chosin Reservoir, which lasted 14 days and took thousands of lives during that time.
Soon, soccer fans will have a chance to step into the cleats of Lionel Messi at the Messi Experience. The immersive exhibit opens this April in Miami, using 3D visuals and AI to tell the story of the star's life. Some installations will also let fans participate in games physically or digitally. You're watching Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
Radcliffe Art and Design Incubator is the velocity accompanying the fellow's rudder, as in a boat. Unless there is movement or action, the planned direction is of little consequence. We encourage the creative ideas into action, and from the experience of doing, we critically assess the feedback, adjust, and set out to rediscover the potentialities of an entrepreneurial mindset.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Sofia Bolivar.
And I'm Parsa K. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.